you guys read poems? This is an old sign for poems. It's more of an English initialized sign. I sign poem like this, so you guys can decide how you want to sign the word poem. All right, do you guys like poems? Can I get a show of hands of everyone that likes poems? And what about those of you who do not like poems? Raise your hand. Yeah, go ahead. Yep, that's poetry. Okay, what is a poem? What is it? Anyone? Okay. Next. Poetry can have a meaning, a secret, or hidden meaning. Correct, there's a lot of emotions inside of poems. Emotions can be evoked out of you or tug at your heart strings. Yes, there's a lot of imagination in poetry. Poetry doesn't follow the same set of rules as regular writing forms. It breaks away from the typical rules and format. Go ahead. Patterns are a common characteristic of poems. What is another characteristic of poems? Rhyme and rhythm. Correct. What is your favorite poem? Anyone? And why is it your favorite? Go ahead, what's your favorite? Highwayman? Why? Why do you like it? But why do you like it? The history? Okay. Colonial. It's a colonial type poem, old-fashioned English from way back in the day. Next. Anyone else? Do you guys like poems? Do you read poems? Come on. Edgar Allan Poe. Great. Annabelle Lee is a common favorite poem from Edgar Allan Poe. I'm going to show you guys my favorite poem. Oh, wait, go ahead. You have another? The Traveler. The famous quote from The Traveler, and that makes all the difference. What word? Does it? Okay. Any others? Robert Frost. You're a fan of Robert Frost? Yeah, he's a very popular poet. Very true. So why do you like Robert Frost? What is it about his poetry that you like? Yeah. Robert Frost, he's pretty cool. Okay, when you guys read a poem, when you're done with it, do you just finish and move on with your day, or what do you do after the poem? Do you reflect? think about it. What are some of the things that you do? Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can find different ways that you relate to the poem. Great. Mm-hmm. You can find different connections within the poem or how you yourself can relate to the poem. Maybe you have an experience that is similar to something that is written in the poem. Maybe there's different heartaches or problems in your life that you can relate to as well. Right, yeah, great. Any more? Do poems relate to other types of written forms such as magazines or newspapers? Do poems follow the same structure or are they different? Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Mm. Right. All right, I want to show you my favorite poem. It's really cute. It's called Time's Pace. When I was a child, I laughed and I wept. Time crept. When I was a youth, I waxed more bold. Time strolled. When I became a full-grown man, time ran. When older, still I daily grow. Time flew. Soon I shall find it's passing on. Time gone. O Christ, I wilt thou hast saved me then. Amen. That's it. It's really cool to think about poems and poetry and how to sign those in ASL. ASL is more visual, and we are needing to make those connections, especially in this poem where it talks about a person and how there's a person and different progression in that person's life related to how the time is during that time. All right, moving on. Let's talk about poetry and the different frameworks each one has. And poetry can have limitations in different ways in that they are set up. For example, there are many types of literary devices that play on the form of poems. They don't have necessarily a specific format. They can follow different type of characteristics of poems and different set of rules. Maybe a poem is more about joy or fascination, and that's where literary devices can come in. I'm going to show you some different types of literary devices. Okay, first, the sound of words. The sounds can be through repetition or rhyme or alliteration, which means the same letter, like AAA, like an alligator, and every word starts with the same letter. The first letter of each word is the same, and you can hear that different pattern. Okay, next here is the meaning of words. First, allusion is a type of meaning. It's setting up something and relating that to something else. In the beginning of a poem and kind of predicting what's happening in the poem later and make that connection from the beginning to the end. And connotations can mean comparing two things and two words, and how two words can have completely different meanings even though they're similar words. For example, let's take the word home and let's compare it to the word house. You can see that these are similar words but have completely different types of meanings. Let's talk about home. Home is somewhere that's safe and cozy, good food, all my laundry is done. I really feel like I'm at home, more emotional. And then you talk about house. It has 4 walls, it has a kitchen, a living room. That's it, more of a structure type word. Home is more in depth, an emotion, and an experience, like, oh, I'm finally home, and I feel like I'm at home. And again, house is just more structure based. And the word home itself has its own meaning, but house doesn't really show a lot of meaning itself. It needs to be paired with other things. Again, home is somewhere where my mom and my grandma, they bake cookies, and it's just a more cozy, emotional type word. Metaphor, it's comparing two things again. Like your face is so clear, like the sun, and just comparing two things. Or you might have a roaring wave in the sea, and that's comparing to the emotions you feel inside and the problems that you might be going through and the feelings. So comparing more real life experiences to feelings inside. Next is oxymoron. It can be complicated and a challenge to understand oxymoron, but it's all related to the meaning of words. It could be a play of words, such as a pun. Next is rearranging the words of a poem. The point of view may be coming from my point of view, or it may be having someone else looking in at me. Next are the lines, so different set of lines that maybe show different structures. So let's take the word volcano. There's a poem called Volcano that has different sizes of lines that can be in the shape of a volcano. And that just emphasizes the poem and how its shape is related. It's really cool. The more traditional type of poem is called a stanza. Different lines of words, like maybe 6 lines back and forth. It could also be a pattern like A, B, C, A, B, C, D. Maybe it switches off each line, and then at the end it's completely off topic. And that's what's really cool about poems, that it can be their own rules. Next is a couplet where the last 2 words of the sentence rhyme. And last is a ballad, which is more musically related type of a poem. For example, you could say something like, I'm on a boat, I feel like I'm gonna die. Things like that. So different arranging the words to make structure. Next is the image of words. Imagery can play a big part of poetry and feeling more of the tone and mood of a poem. And you can really analyze the poem and understand how those images show the meaning of the poem. Maybe you are feeling enjoying about the poem and it's really joyful, or maybe poems can be complex and a challenge. They may have limitations, but they also have different ways of breaking the rules and so, for example, following the rules or breaking away from them. It can be limiting and also freeing. Alright, I'm going to discuss my favorite poet, and her name is Emily Bronte. You guys know who she is? Yep, she's an English poet. She has two sisters, Charlotte, then Emily, and then Anne. Wuthering Heights is a famous work of art from Emily. But I want to show you one of my favorite poems from Emily Bronte that is called Spellbound. What does the word mean, spellbound? What does that mean? It's more of a general word and meaning. Maybe that catches your fascination and your attention. True. But maybe it has more than one meaning, spellbound. Alright, let's read the poem. Spellbound. Go ahead and read it on your own real quick. Alright, let's read the first stanza. What do you guys think about it? Does anyone want to read it? The night is darkening around me. A wild wind coldly blows, but a tyrant spell has found me, and I cannot go. I cannot go. The giant trees are bending, their bare boughs weighted with snow, and the storm is fast descending. And yet, I cannot go. Clouds beyond clouds above me, waste beyond, waste below, but nothing green can move me. I will not, I cannot go. That's the poem Spellbound. Now I would like to analyze this poem. What type of literary devices can be found in Spellbound? I'm going to give you a document that you can answer these questions with your partner. And I want you to discuss these different questions that are here on the board. So I'm going to go back to Spellbound so you can reference it. So the paper will have the questions on there. So let's partner up. Let's partner with the person next to you. And again, what literary devices do you notice in this? I'm going to give you 3 minutes to work with your partner. Go ahead. All right, wrap up your answers here. All right, let me know what literary devices you guys found. Go ahead. Rhythm. Exactly. Repetition. Good. Tell me more about the rhythm. Do you feel that Spellbound is a more traditional type poem, or maybe it goes against the rules of a typical form of poetry? What do you think, guys? Right. The meaning of words are throughout. There's different meanings of words throughout the poem, yeah? Is that it? Go ahead. You may feel stuck. Yeah. Maybe it sparks something in your life that you need to face, a problem that you need to try to figure out and accept and move forward. Maybe it's depression that you struggle with in your life and you need to face it and you try to get past that. Okay. So, did you guys like this poem? What do you think now? Let's go back and talk about Spellbound again as the word and its meaning. Spellbound typically means good things, happy things, right? But is this poem happy? No, it's almost like the opposite of what the word actually means, spellbound. It's like a tyrant spell. So usually it is a positive outlook, the word spellbound. But this is a great example of how poetry has its own rules and it's more of a creative work of art where it can use the opposite of a meaning of something. Go ahead. Yeah, when it says I will not, cannot go, it's the opposite. And you have choices. When you write poems, it's your own choice. You have choices and you can decide how you want to write it. Your decision. You want to make it the opposite meaning, make it a little bit more creative and interesting. Yeah, poems can have a lot of power in how emotions play, and they can be very impactful. Maybe there's a hidden meaning, maybe there's an answer that's hidden in the poem that you can find out and it's described within the poem. What other literary devices can be used? So going back to the questions, what about this last one? How does the author create a negative impression of nature in Spellbound? How? How does that nature being described negatively show power in the poem? And what is the poem's point and goal and message that wants to be expressed? It's important to analyze and reflect on the poem after you read it, because there's a lot of descriptions that can be helpful for understanding the poem. Okay, so now, you guys like the poem? Did you like this lesson? And what did you guys like the lesson, or did you think it's awful, not like it? Did the lesson today help you? And how did it help you? It did. How does this poem help you? Or excuse me, how did the lesson help you today? Did you guys learn something about poetry today that you didn't know before, or did you already know about this? And did you understand the different frameworks and evaluations of poems? What did you guys learn? Go ahead. A lot of educators do like poems as well. And the poems that they enjoy more about meaning and emotion. Poems can be used in education because they can be evaluated and provoke discussion of how people can relate to poems in their life and struggles that they are having, and they can relate to these poems, and that can help them face those struggles and progress through their own life. This can be also related to art museums. You can go into an art museum and now you can identify different types of characteristics of poems. You can look at the color scheme, balance, and creative realms within poetry and art. And you can see more meaning of artwork inside of museums. And this could be great for you in your future. You can understand, again, the frameworks of different poems and artwork of poetry. It's really fascinating. All right, guys, before we go on break, I want you to figure out how this can be a challenge for you guys as interpreters. What kind of problems and challenges that you may face when you interpret poetry? Go ahead. Yeah, it can be a challenge. Interpreting poetry into ASL is challenging. It's hard work to figure this out and be able to compare the English meaning and how it sounds and express that into ASL, because you can't hear the exact word and it's maybe when it rhymes, because it's it's not easy to express that in ASL. So you might be signing a poem and you're like, shit, I don't know what that means. I don't know how to express that in ASL. But it's okay to be honest and use that as a growing experience to improve your skills for next time. And maybe you can see how you can enjoy that experience, or maybe you can drop it and move on and start fresh. And then again, you can see maybe if the English is confusing, you're not understanding it, figuring out that meaning and being able to match that into ASL to have equivalent in meaning. Go ahead. Make a comment. Ooh. Exactly. Yep. Right. Maybe sometimes there's lots of complaining and that's hard to show visually in ASL again. And it may be something different that you expect. But it's a challenge and you can work through it and learn from those mistakes. Go ahead. Right. Right. Mm-hmm. I like that. Very interesting. There's many different challenges about interpreting poetry. But it's important to find interpreters that can guide you, that have experience in interpreting poetry. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Again, I hope you guys learned a lot from this lesson and more than you knew from before, and I hope you can grow in these skills of interpreting poetry in ASL. It's a lot to learn and to train your hands how to do this. Okay, let's go on a break for about 10 minutes. Take a full break, a full 10 minutes, and come back, and we will discuss for 1 more hour the next lesson. Okay? Thanks, guys. See you in a minute.